So welcome everyone to our first hips class. This is always a popular topic in yoga therapy and any yoga class working with the hips. We're going to be both stretching and strengthening the hips. We'll continue to work with the legs as well in terms of flexibility and the feet, of course. So be ready for all of that. So just lying on your back and putting your feet on the ground. I'm actually going to turn this way. See my hips a little better, maybe. And just arriving, you've all had busy days. You're welcome to do this class lying on your bed or another surface like a futon. And just start with some belly breathing. Inhale, expanding the belly into the hands. Exhale, draw the belly in and make a ha sound. Inhale, expanding. Exhale, contracting. If you like, you can add humming to this on the exhale, humming sound. Inhale. Inhale. Lay your hands on the belly or one hand on the heart. And if you'd like to make an intention this evening, linked to truth and reconciliation, which we celebrated or recognized in Canada yesterday. And in yoga, we have something called ahimsa. It means non-harming. Ahimsa is the foundation of satya, truth. So if you want to reflect upon that, non-harming is the foundation of speaking your truth. So in order to have reconciliation, we need to act in a way that is gracious and doesn't hurt others as much as we're able to through our thoughts, through our words, and through our actions. So just leave you with that. That's from chapter 2, Yoga Sutras, talking about the yamas, the ethics of yoga. And when you're ready, just straightening your leg, or you can keep them bent, your choice. And you're going to inhale, bring your arms up to their place. You could have a bolster behind you. You could bend your elbows, or you could have wide arms if it feels better for you. You can have quite wide arms. So if you're working with neck and shoulders, you can do that. And exhale, bring your arms down. If you're working with neck and shoulders, you could also put a bolster along your spine. Inhale, opening, and exhale, coming down. So just as a warm up for the spine, for the back.
Just try to stay very present as you do this. Inhale, coming to your place, arms overhead, chin tucking in. If that's comfortable, you might have a pillow under your head. Exhale, arms coming down. Again, they could be moving at the sides like a snow angel if that's more comfortable for you. Last time, inhale, coming up, Tadaka Mudra. And exhale, arms coming down as the belly draws in. Okay, so moving into the hips, we're just going to warm up first. We're going to do a little bit more strength work today. So we worked on this last week with a pillow. Today I'm going to show with a bolster in case you have one. You can use a pillow if you like between your legs. And you inhale in the position. As you exhale, squeeze the bolster. Now this strengthens the inner thighs. So we're just going to start with that. Inhale, open, release, and exhale, squeeze. Inhale, release. So the knees move away from your bolster or your pillow, and exhale, squeeze as hard as you can. As you exhale, contracting from the pelvic floor up to the belly button, like you're zipping up a pair of jeans. As you inhale, the belly expands as you unzip those jeans. You can add a hold after exhale of pressing for a couple of seconds into that bolster. Inhale, release. Okay, when you're ready, the next time you exhale and you press into the bolster, I want you to lift your hips up. So you're moving your hips on that exhale. Inhale, open your knees and try to lift higher with your pelvis. Some of you won't do this step if it's not comfortable. Exhale, squeeze that bolster pillow and gradually roll down. So we're moving up and down on exhale only. Inhale in the position. You can bring the knees apart a little bit. Exhale, squeeze the bolster, tuck the tail under, and lift the pelvis as you squeeze as hard as you can. You might notice one thigh a little weaker than the other. Inhale, lift higher, release those knees, lift higher. Exhale, squeeze the bolster and gradually come down. Inhale in the position, release the knees. Exhale, squeeze the bolster, tuck the tail under and lift up. Inhale, open the knees, lift higher. Exhale, squeeze the bolster and roll down. Last time, inhale, lifting up. Sorry, I did that wrong. Let's try that again. Inhale, opening the knees. Exhale, squeeze the bolster, lift the hips. I went into old pattern. Inhale, lifting higher, lift the pelvis up. And exhale, squeeze the bolster and come down. So this is one of the reasons my teachers say it's good to actually change your pattern because it's easy to get locked into a pattern. So we're going to do something a little bit different with this pose now, a bit focused on the hips. So I want you to try, bring your left foot forward and your right foot back. And you're welcome to have a pillow or a block between your legs. So something a bit smaller than a bed pillow if you're using a pillow, something a little bit lighter and smaller. You can skip this piece if you want. using the block. So in this position, we're just gonna inhale, lift the hips up. Lift as high as you can and exhale coming down. Now, some of you won't be lifting as high. And some of you can continue, I'm gonna not use the block actually, can continue to just move only on exhale if that feels better for your back. So inhale, lift the pelvis up. And exhale, coming down, just that. Now, if you want to add on, so I've got my left foot forward, my right foot back. Bring your left arm up. And exhale, come down. Leave your arm up. At the end of the exhale, gradually bring the arm down. Inhale, coming up. And exhale, gradually coming down. One more time, inhale up. And exhale, gradually coming down. So this is targeting the whole left side, especially the left hip, stretching, and it's strengthening the right knee. We're going to switch sides. So the left heel closer to your buttocks, the right foot away, or your opposite side, whatever that is. And this is very good for scoliosis, or if you have one side of your pelvis that's different than the other. Very, very common to have that imbalance in the hips. Inhale, lifting up, and exhale, coming down. You could have that block between your legs. I decided not to for myself. If you want, adding that right arm or the same arm as the foot that's in front coming up, lift as high as you can. As you exhale, gradually roll down, and at the end, bring your hand down. So it's stretching that whole right side. Inhale up. Dvipadipedam, two-footed stool. Exhale, gradually rolling down. Inhale up. And exhale, gradually rolling down. Okay, last round of Dvipadipedam bridge, feet parallel. You're going to inhale, lift your hips up, tuck your shoulders under, palms facing up. Exhale, stay in the position. Inhale, can you come up onto your toes and lift the hips even higher? Exhale, come down. So this is focusing on the hips, but also the legs and the feet. Inhale, come up onto your toes if you can, lift the hips higher. And this time, if you want, bring your knees slightly apart, opening those hips. And then exhale, coming down. You can come down all the way if you need a break, or just to about a halfway position. Inhale, up on the toes, lifting up, lifting the knees apart, bringing them apart. And then exhale, gradually coming down to the halfway position or all the way down. Just listen to your body. Inhale, lifting the hips, lifting up on the toes, the heels coming off, knees apart, lift higher, lift those hips higher. And exhale, gradually coming down to your place. Last time, inhale, lifting up, heels up, knees apart, lifting as high as you can, and exhale, gradually coming down. That was a big warm up for the back and the hips, and now let's just start to stretch them out. So I hope that has brought enough blood flow into your hips to warm you up as it gets colder here. Just going to be a bit more mindful of your warm up. Inhale in your center, exhale. You're going to bring one knee down at a time. So we're going to start with the left hip coming down towards the right big toe. Inhale, center. Exhale, other side. So you can have your hands at shoulder height or lower. I'm going to put mine lower to be able to show you this a bit better. Inhale, center. Exhale, left knee coming towards that right big toe. And I apologize if you have bunions. This will be painful. Fold your mat over or add some sort of cushioning if you've got bunions in your feet. This can be a bit painful. So just add a thicker mat. Inhale, center. Exhale, other side. And stretching the thighs, the hip. It's also a really nice one for realigning the knees. Really good one for the knees. Okay, we're going to start doing windshield wipers side to side. Inhale, center, exhale, all the way to the left. Inhale, center, exhale, knees all the way to the right. You can turn your head opposite direction as you go side to side if you like. And just keep this going your own timing. You all know this. Doing this as a counter pose for Dvipadipedam, the bridge. But also to start getting into those hips a bit more. And this one also works secondarily in the upper back, stretching one side at a time. The opposite side your knees are on, you're going to get a bit of a stretch in your neck and shoulders, especially if you add the turn of the head. And just finishing up your last round, whatever it is. And then we're going to take it a little bit further for the hips. It's working the outsides of the hips now and into the lower back and the legs as well, the thighs in particular. You're going to cross the left foot over the right. That works for you. Arms any height that works. Inhale, center. Exhale, bringing your knees towards the right. Inhale, center. Exhale, knees towards the left. Now, if this is too intense, you just don't go down as far, or you could have a pillow on each side that acts as a landing pad for your knees. So your knees are crossed over each other, ideally, if you can, like, you're sitting cross-legged on a chair, that position, if that works for your body. Exhale, side, inhale, center. Your palms could be down if you prefer. And this one will go more intensely also into the opposite neck and shoulder. And after 4 to 6 rounds, however this is working for you with your breath pattern, you're going to switch sides. You might decide when I switch sides, you want to stay a little longer on one side. You're welcome to do that. So I'm switching my right knee on top. Inhale, center, exhale, and going towards the left first, which is stretching the whole outside of the hip. And this is getting into the lower back as well. It's starting to connect the hips with the lower back a bit more than we did last week. Inhale, center, exhale, other side. When you've done 4 to 6 rounds, just finishing up. Now let's, as a counter, just bring the knees to the chest as we exhale. And inhale, legs to the sky, arms overhead to the floor behind, or you can just touch the floor behind like this, or the arms could be at the sides if you prefer, and exhale, knees to your chest. You could also hold behind your legs, inhale up, and exhale, knees to the chest, just holding behind your knees. This might feel better for your body, so just decide which version you want to do. Urdhva Prasrita Padasana. So to respect the indigenous language and culture of India, I do try to use the Sanskrit whenever I can to show you that I did not invent this practice. It comes from Chennai, India, and before that, a part of Tibet that actually used to be India, Mount Kailash. So I'm thinking about the land that's connected to this yoga. If you've ever been to India, you might want to bring India to mind. Okay. All right. So that was just counterpose, simple one. We're going to go back into the hips. We're going to work the other side of the hip now, opening the hip one at a time. So your feet together. This is Supta, means lying down, Baddha, bound, Konasana, angle pose. Inhale, opening up the left knee, bringing the left arm overhead, or you could just open it to the side like this. And exhale, bring the arm back down as you draw the knee towards the other one. Ideally, that movement is done through the exhale. Inhale, opening the right hip. Now start to exhale before you start to move. And feel like the exhale is moving the heaviness of your leg. So rather than your leg moving your leg, the breath is moving your leg. Inhale, opening the door. Exhale, closing the door, using the breath to move the leg. This is just very gentle, opening one side at a time. What you might notice if you have one hip tighter than the other, it's surprising when you do one side at a time that you can bring the whole knee down. Whereas when you do both, you might not be able to. So this is a way of working on opening the hips one side at a time, especially a tighter side. It will help even out those imbalances. It's also for the mind very soothing, just one side at a time, stimulating the opposite side of the brain. And just finishing up your last round, around 6 rounds. Now we're going to do both and just see what that feels like. So inhale, opening the hips. Now this is a back arch, and it's more of a back arch with using both legs. And exhale, draw them in. If it's too much of a back arch, you could put a pillow underneath the pelvis as high as the lower back, just to remove the arch of the spine if it's bothering your lower back. So just be mindful when you go into this pose, it is a back arch. That's your inhale, and exhale coming down. Now, if you have one hip that moves differently than the other, so for example, my left hip doesn't open as much as my right. If I put a block underneath my right hip, the one that's looser, when I open, it balances my pelvis. So you could also put a block under both sides to make it balanced. So that's, or a bolster or a pillow under both legs, both knees, that is. So inhale, opening, exhale, drawing everything together. So at this point, if you want to keep the pelvis a bit more balanced, you might want to put a block under each side or under your looser hip, your hip that opens more. And it will get the other side to open more with gravity. Exhale. Now, try to use that exhale as a core exercise to draw the legs together. So use your root, mula, bandha, lock, from the pelvic floor to the belly button. Zip up those jeans. And feel your lower back, your SI joints being massaged as you do this. Wonderful one for the back for many people. Feel really good for those SI joints as they move with the hips. And the lower back sinks into the floor as you exhale. And then inhale, it arches. Later, we're going to do a stay pose of this, but I don't want to do that right away. I want to keep working on the flexibility where we stay. So, yeah, it's always a balance. How many stay poses and how many movement poses, but it's getting colder, so I want to do a bit more movement poses. Okay, we're going to start with the left ankle crossed over the right thigh. And I'm sure a lot of you know this from other parts of your life, this pose, hip opener. You're going to use your left hand and open that left hip by pressing the hip open. Now, you want to be careful not to twist your spine like this. So really press that left hip down as you do this, because otherwise you'll go over to the left like that. So that's your inhale. Now on your exhale, you're going to use your other hand, your right hand, and you're going to take it across and stretch the whole outside of that left hip. And getting into that piriformis. Inhale, opening. A lot of us have tight piriformises or piriformes, maybe. I'm not sure the Latin plural of that. Exhale across and inhale, open. Just keep that going. It's very, very simple. This was given to me many years ago when I had an injury in this hip, actually. And I couldn't believe how simple it was, but it was very effective. So if you ever have pain in your hips, this can be a nice simple one to start with rather than going into figure four right away. Okay, now we're going to move, for those of you who can, towards the figure four. Now, if this does not work for you, you might want to have a pillow underneath your buttocks. And actually, I forgot to bring my little pillow. I'm going to get it. So, or a soft block if you have one of those soft blocks. Mine are all under my computer right now, but small pillow. This can help you get a bit more range of motion as you do this. And it can just help your hips stay a bit more even. So exhale, draw everything in, inhale away. I think we did this last week. Exhale, draw everything in, inhale away. Now, another option, if this is not working for you, because I know for me on my left side, this is really hard. You can also try holding that left foot at the heel and just see if you can get a bit more action that way, and use the left hand to just open that hip a bit, just gently. You don't want to force anything in yoga ever, but you can change the crossing of the leg. So for me, I like this variation. I created it for myself just to have a bit more choice in terms of the movement. Okay, let's go to the other side. So you don't want to feel any tweaking in the knee as you do that. I'm going to show this without the pillow first. So just opening that right hip. So I've got my right ankle dangling off my left thigh. So you don't want to put pressure on the joint itself. That's a physiotherapy idea anyway. Inhale, opening hip, and try not to twist to the left. So try to keep that left hip pressing down. Try not to twist to the right, rather. So inhale, opening, exhale, cross the knee over using your left hand. And inhale, open, maybe use your right hand to open. Keep pressing that left hip down because it will want to shift. Just be really careful not to twist the pelvis. We're trying to untwist the pelvis in yoga, so try not to cause more problems. Inhale, opening, exhale, releasing. This might feel super easy, or this might feel like your pose. If you want to keep going, I'm going to put a pillow underneath my lower back up to my waist. Exhale, figure four. So the right hand through that right hip, opening the knee. This is a variation of knee to chest pose, a asana. Great for opening the hips. If you're finding it hard to get mobility doing this, try holding that right foot with your left hand and using your right hand to open the hip as you come in, and then inhale, release. Bit of a trick, so I'm using my hands to help guide the opening, and you might like that better. So again, that's just a variation I created for myself that I sometimes teach. And this is very much for the piriformis. It's a hip opener. It's a piriformis stretch that a physiotherapist might give you, or a trainer. And just finishing up. And let's just bring the hips the other direction. I'm gonna remove this pillow for a minute. Just bring the feet wide and angle the knees in and just rest. And you'll feel your whole back open up, hopefully, as you do that internal rotation. And just to work with the lower back a bit after all that, because that can stir up, if there are problems in the lower back, it can kind of stir it up a bit. Let's just bring the left knee into the chest as we exhale, the right leg straight or bent. So that's your exhale. Inhale, straighten the legs out, arms overhead if you want. And then exhale, draw the other leg in. We did this, I believe, last week for the legs and feet. Inhale. This is also great for the knees. Exhale, draw everything in. Inhale, lengthening. Now for you, for all these supine poses, your eyes can be closed if you're not looking at me. I'm looking at you, so I've got mine open. But if you're not teaching the class, you have the privilege of just listening if you can, and just doing this practice, keeping your focus inside. Exhale. If you like, you can flex the toes towards the nose and inhale, point. Tucking the chin in on the inhale, and then exhale. And just finishing up. And hopefully that's stretched one side at a time a little bit for you. We're going to keep going in that direction. I'm going to use my bolster. You can also use a bed pillow. I like the bolster for this one. It's a bit harder. And you might want to have your belt ready. Some of you will need it. This is something similar to what we just did, but it is going to focus a bit more on the hip. And again, this is one I created for my own body that I teach often to work on the psoas, so the hip flexors. And a lot of you know this from previous classes. So you're going to start by bringing your left knee into your chest. So we're just going to start with the hip aspect, and then we're going to add some legs. And as you bring that left knee into your chest, and if you have a knee problem, you might want to hold underneath the knee. And in this position, your right leg is extending, and you should feel a nice stretch in the leg. Now, with spinal stenosis, this might be uncomfortable for your back. Give it a try. Listen to your body carefully. It might just say no, because it is a bit of a back arch. So just be careful. Otherwise, it will feel like a supine lunge. And then just switch sides. Exhale, other side. And then inhale, stay here. Exhale. Inhale, stay. Again, you could be holding underneath the knee instead. Inhale. We do another round. Other side. Exhale. Knee, left knee to the chest. Inhale. Now, you could move the knee a little bit away as you inhale and exhale towards you, or just stay. Your choice. It's more intense to just stay, less intense to move a little bit. You can do this without the bolster, with just a small pillow if it's hurting your back in any way. About 4 breaths. My focus is the right thigh and hip flexor right now. And switching sides. So most of my students really like this variation. It's a great one for walking. And just seeing how you guys are doing there. Okay, we're just going to come out. I'm not going to do the next variation with the bolster. Just want to make sure you're all okay in your backs. All right, we're going to do this one flat on the ground just to make sure for the back. Okay, so I'm going to get that belt, and we're just going to stretch the legs as a counter for a bunch of this hip work we've done. So this is going back to the legs and feet. So you're going to put the belt in on your left ball of your foot, and I like to make a nice loop of the belt. And the other leg straight or bent. Stretch the leg nice and long. That other opposite foot, that right foot, could be at the wall, pressing into the wall as an option. And just staying here. As you exhale, you're going to bend the knee into the chest and inhale, extend. Now you could do this with your pelvis on that pillow or bolster as an option, but I'm doing it without, just to stretch the lower back as well. And then you can keep that going, or you can stay in the leg stretch. Draw that hip down, that left hip down as you exhale. Draw down, inhale, release. Actually, I'm going to do the opposite breath. I'm going to inhale, draw the hip down, draw the leg away. And exhale, bring the leg towards you a little bit. Yeah, I'll do the breath that way. A bit more classical. Inhale the leg away, draw the hip down. And exhale, draw the foot towards you. A nice leg stretch. And if you were up on that bolster, you would be getting an opposite hip stretch as well. So that's an option. Let's do the other side. So first, the half happy baby. The left leg can be bent or straight. I'm showing it straight. Supta Padangustasana. So lying, big leg straight, holding the big toe classically. Inhale here. Exhale. Bend the knee towards the chest. Inhale, straighten the leg. This is for the hamstrings and the lower back. And I'm doing this as a counter pose, and a lot of you in the room have knee and feet issues. Inhale. Exhale. Every time you do that inhale, try to drop that hip down because it will want to come off the ground. So I'm thinking of drawing my right hip down onto the ground, and then I feel the stretch more. When you're ready, you can stay in the position. It's a great one counter for lots of walking. Just staying here. So inhale again, drop that hip. Exhale, bring the foot towards your nose. Keep the foot on the ground. Getting into the calf and the hamstrings. Inhale, bring the leg away. Exhale towards you. And just finishing up. Both legs into the belt. And you can just hold in prayer position. That works for you. Just rest here for a few breaths. This is just a semi-inversion to increase blood flow through the legs. If you've been standing all day, this is a great one just to literally get off your feet, elevate your feet, and rather than putting the legs up the wall, this is just a faster version of that. Semi-inversion, Viparita Karani, Urdhva Prasrita Padasana means upward footed pose. When you're ready, release. Okay, so before we totally chill out, I'm going to get you to do a series of hip strengtheners that I often teach in the hip series, because it's amazing how important strength is to also flexibility. So you're going to be lying on the side of your body. Now, some of you might want to get some sort of additional cushioning, like a blanket, or I've got nice thick mat here, a little rug that I sometimes use for these kinds of poses just to make it a little bit more comfortable. You could use a blanket, thicker mat, whatever you have. So we're going to be lying on the side of the hip. If you're on your bed, you're going to be good. Yeah, you could also do this on your bed. This is my portable bed. Used to be at my yoga studio that I sold last year, so it's now here, and I just love this little rug. Okay, so you're just going to lie on your hip. I'm going to lie actually on my right hip first so that I can cue with my left leg on top. And just lying down and stretching the lower arm underneath. Now, if this does not work for you, you're going to put your trusty pillow here instead, like this. Okay, so get comfy in a fetal position. Okay, now this looks a lot like what's called clamshells by physiotherapists, but there's a classical version of this that I'm going to show you in a minute. So we're just going to start with those clamshells because they are very helpful. And this is like a side version of Supta Baddha Konasana. So inhale, opening the hip, and exhale, closing. So we're just going to start with that. It's just to strengthen those hips. Inhale, open, and exhale, close. This is surprisingly difficult. Inhale, open. I'm always amazed. It's like, wow. Why is that so hard? And exhale. So having strong hips is just as important as having flexible hips. And in yoga, we want a balance between strength and softness always. So for each person, that's going to be a little bit different. In my classes, I try to show both. Now, before you get too tired, you can rest there for a little bit if you need more of a rest, or if you're ready, I want you to straighten that top leg. And this is starting to look like the classical pose. The classical pose is, I'm going to show you the sleeping Vishnu pose. Do not do this. This is the classical pose, is this, okay? You just hang out here and you look like Jane Fonda. So Vishnu, he was asleep on a bed, and that's why it's named after him, Anantasana. However, we're going to do a variation to strengthen the hips. Now, I like to bend the lower leg for stability, but also, you'll see in a minute, on this inhale, when you bring the leg down, you can create some traction of the hip. When you have this one bent, you can create some traction by reaching the toe down away. The other arm, if you can, on top, otherwise just keep it in front. And that's your stretch, and then this is your strength. Exhale, bring the leg to where you can. On top of your leg, or you could have your hand down. Inhale, if you're using your arm, it moves in this half circle. Inhale, to your palms together, and then exhale, bring your hand down to your leg. The lower leg could be straight, but again, I like to bend it for stability, but also to create traction on the inhale. I'm stretching the toes away from my nose as hard as I can, stretching through that hip. And I know some of you in the room, you have one hip that's higher than the other, and this is a fabulous way of balancing those imbalances. So for some of you will have lower back pain that will be caused by an imbalance in your hips. And this, I discovered in my own practice, can really help with that tremendously. So this is one of my favorite ones to work on, traction of the hip. Okay, I've probably killed you enough with that one. It's fairly intense. We're just going to hang out there for a minute. Now, we're going to go around the world just for fun. We're going to lie on our bellies, and we're going to work on the back of the hip. Just folding your arms, place your forehead on your folded arms. Now I'm going to turn my head so you can hear me, but for you, don't turn your head once you know what you're doing. You're going to inhale. I'm looking at you, but don't look at me if you can. Inhale, lift your left leg. Exhale, bring it down. Inhale, lift your right leg. Exhale, bring it down. If you want to make it harder, tuck your toes under and do it from there. Inhale, lift your left. Exhale, bring it down. Inhale your right. Exhale, bring it down. This is working the back of the hip, which we don't think about, but those glutes, it's working that. Inhale. Exhale. Again, I'm turning my head, don't turn yours. Inhale. Exhale, so I'm just doing that so you can hear me. Inhale, point the toe away from you and up. Exhale, and tucking the toes under on the exhale, or you can relax the legs. Inhale, right. Exhale. Okay, and now we're going to go to the other side. So in between sides, I'm just going to do a counter of child's pose, or you can just lie on your back and bring your knees to your chest. Now I'm going to flip my body around, but you can just roll onto right away to the other shoulder like this. Okay, but I'm going to flip my body around so that you can see me better. So you should have your right hip on top, or the opposite hip on top. Okay. And yeah, it's okay if I don't see you perfectly. That's fine. So your legs bent to start with. In side child, I've got my left ear on my left arm. I could modify by putting a pillow of any size underneath the left side of my face and head and have this comfort. Okay, so be aware of that. Classical is on your arm. Stretching the top leg, it's my right leg in this case. Now, before we do that, we're going to do our clamshell. So I'm just remembering we're going to start with the clamshell. So inhale, opening the hips. So this is not really a yoga move. This is a physio move, but we're doing it as a prep. Exhale together. Inhale, open. Exhale. It's a strength version of Supta Baddha Konasana. Inhale, open. Exhale. 4 to 6 times. When you're ready, you're going to stretch that leg long. This is my right leg on top. Stretch those toes away from the nose and try to decompress that hip. You'll know it's compressed, but you'll just have the sensation of creating space. So you can even take your hand and sort of reach that hip away from you with your hand, press it down. If you can, add the opposite arm on top and palms together and reach even further away. That's your inhale. That's your stretch. Strength. Exhale, bring the leg up, keeping the knee facing forward if you can, keeping the hand on the thigh. Otherwise, you can just stay in front of you. Inhale. So I'm doing it without the arm now, just to show you. Just leave that right hand on the floor in front of you. Exhale. Or if you can, inhale. Palms together, stretch the toe away. You can stretch the foot slightly behind you. And then exhale, hand to your thigh, to your knee. Inhale. Doing this 4 to 6 times. It's too much, take a break in side child, fetal position. And when you feel ready, just going into side child rest here, you probably feel quite a bit of action in that right hip. When you feel ready, rolling onto your belly. Holding your arms, resting your forehead on your folded hands. Tuck your toes under as an option. Or inhale, right leg up. Exhale down or left. Inhale, other leg up. Exhale, make it harder by tucking the toes under. Inhale, up. Exhale, tuck the toes under. Inhale, up. Exhale, tuck the toes under. This secondarily actually works with the knees, the alignment of the knees. Inhale, up. Exhale. And when you feel you've had enough, just go into child's pose or knees to chest if this is not working for your knees. Hip version of this pose is knees apart. that gets into the groin. And you can bring your knees even wider apart. You can also prop your body up by holding a bolster in front. That works better for you. You don't want to feel any strain in your knees, whatever you're doing. You can also turn your feet out. That is more intense. Be careful. That really gets into the groin. So those are all your options. When you're ready, lying on your back. And I'm going to do Supta Baddha Konasana. I'm going to show with my bolster. So this is relaxation form of this pose, opening the hips and just lying here. Otherwise, you can have your legs straight. Get rid of this bolster if you want. And we're just going to have a rest with some breathing. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. To the count of 5. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. On your own. 5 and 5. A count of 6. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. On your own. And rest. And just to close, you can stay lying here or come to a seated position to close the class, your choice. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace. Namaste. Namaskaram. Thank you very much.